Hey everybody, welcome back to our Let's Play of 80 Days with Nerdstalgic. So, looks like we're in Kabul, Afghanistan. It's day 19, so I think we're making pretty decent time at this point. But, you know, strange things can happen, especially around India, as we learned in our last playthrough. So, let's hope for some good progress. As we explored the city, we were rather unceremoniously seized by a score of British infantry and marched along the walls of Kabul, up the mountain ridge, into the fortress of Bala Hissar. Monsieur Fogg protested our treatment. Never again. I will never, ever, ever come here again. Never around India. It's like a death trap. And I stayed silent, as befits a gentleman's valet. We were presented to a small, bespectacled gentleman in a palatial office, which looked rather more like a court, despite the piles of books and a surveyor's equipment littering the floor. He gave us a glance over his spectacle rims. I am Mr. Smythe, second assistant political officer to his British mission here. I do not have the pleasure of your acquaintance. I glanced at my master, who straightened his cuffs, but otherwise looked as though he thought he might have been out for a mid-morning stroll and had wandered by merest happenstance into an Afghan palace fort. I am Mr. Phileas Fogg, and this is my valet, Passepartout. I am the subject of Her Majesty and passing through Kabul with no small urgency. Urgency? The political officer's eyes flashed behind his lenses. Pray expand a little upon the nature of this urgency, Mr. Fogg. I did not like his tone and gave him a sidelong glare for good measure. Monsieur Fogg was not used to being on the other side of the interrogation table, and I felt rather protective of him as Monsieur Fogg explained his wager and our resultant breakneck trip around the world. I could see Smythe growing more astonished with each word. Finally, he took off his glasses and tapped them on the table. Were you Russian or Persian spies, he said musingly, you would have a more plausible story. Okay, I could not, in all honesty, disagree. My master's ongoing willingness to risk life, limb, and valet for bet seemed to me the height of nonsense. I fear I did not keep my thoughts from my face either, as I saw Monsieur Fogg's cold glance in my direction. Monsieur Smythe's eyebrow raised in an eerie mirroring of my master's expression, and then he cleared his throat. A friend of mine is traveling to Omsk. I'd consider it a great favor if you accompanied her. Omsk is quite far, I hedged. Yes, but at Omsk you can catch the Trans-Siberian Express all the way to Ussurisk, or change at Karamskaya for Beijing, he explained. Think on it. He dismissed us and returned to his papers without a second glance. Quite a commanding fellow for a mere second assistant political officer. Relations with Fogg have strengthened somewhat. So, Omsk is out of the way, and I think it's kind of a backtrack. The Trans-Siberian Express, I can't imagine, goes very quickly. I don't know. It might be a bad idea to not do this for this guy. Where is Omsk? It's really not that bad. It's not actually backtracking. Let's see what's up in the market. Well, we don't have anything to sell here. They have wool trousers. If we were to take the Omsk mail airship, arrives tomorrow, huh? When does it leave? Okay, it takes 3 suitcases, huh? I guess we'll go ahead and do it. And let's go ahead and get the wool trousers too. And I guess we'll just depart. Since we know we're going to Omsk, what's the point in exploring? You know? But let's go ahead and, this could be a mistake. It might be a mistake to do this, but, you know, the last time that somebody captured me and asked me to do something for them and I failed on it, we lost all of our luggage, which wasn't a huge deal at that point in the journey, but still. We met at the friend of Monsieur Smythe, Her Majesty's second assistant political officer in Kabul, at the airship dock. She was wearing a daring red dress cut in the Italian style, draped over with a mink coat lined in satin. I greeted her with a bow, and she swept her eyes over Monsieur Fogg and myself before inclining her head. Where did Smythe dig you two up? she asked rhetorically in the plummy tones of an English aristocrat. Never mind, I'm Lady Sybil. With that, she swept away, leaving me to manage both our bags and her own assortment of traveling cases. We barely had time to settle into our cabin before the little Schuitlands airship jolted into the air, further evidence of the German Empire's heavy investment in Afghanistan's infrastructure. Let's attend to Fogg. We must keep his health up. This is an arduous trek. The first day's travel was quiet enough, drifting idly across mountaintops. I watched the scenery floating past. Deep valleys and impossible slopes punctuated by even more impossible villages, and the occasional remote monastery. People, it appeared, were capable of getting anywhere, even onto a boat that sailed through the clouds. Night fell and stars lit up the sky. Lady Sybil joined me in looking at them, pointing up at one. The dolphin, she remarked. It's the only constellation I know. And why is that, madame? I asked, feeling there must be a story attached. But she only shrugged. It actually looks like a dolphin. It is so rare for things to look like what they truly are, don't you find? With that cryptic remark, she left me. So she must be a spy or something. I'm probably going to get captured up here because of her. We were boarded by half a dozen Imperial Russian customs inspectors a few hundred miles into their airspace. Lady Sybil came to me as they checked the pilot's paper. Someone tipped them off. They were watching for me. She searched my face. Tell them I have traveled with you from London. So you are a spy. She gave me a pitying look. I didn't take pains to hide it. Smythe trusted you. I am in Her Majesty's service, and my mission is vital. Please. Why not ask my master? I asked suspiciously. He can contradict your story as easily as I. She shrugged. Fogg? He is a man afflicted by a deep sense of gallantry. He will lie for me. It is you whom I must convince. You are right about that, I admitted, warming to her a little. You respect women too much to trust them blindly, she grinned, like a much younger woman. You must have had a good teacher. There was a knock on the door. I considered Lady Sybil. Who was this woman? Was her mission true, or was that another lie? Lady Sybil shot me a last, desperate look before the customs inspectors brought in Monsieur Fogg and began their interrogation through a translator. Finally, the question came, do you know this woman? I stepped forward before Monsieur Fogg could open his mouth and said, she is our companion, I said boldly. We have traveled together from London in pursuit of my master's wager. The officials gave Lady Sybil a bit of a leer, drawing their own sordid conclusions about her position in our company. I put one arm around the lady to further their suspicions, and at that they took a decision as to my character, and hence the ladies, and gave the matter up. Score. They completed their search of the hold in the cabins and disembarked by nightfall. We had lost the day, but nothing more serious. Well, that's certainly good. I knew there was going to be some shenanigans. I knew it. Yesterday's events loosened both Lady Sybil's tongue and her thickly painted facade. I am not really a titled lady, she confessed over lunch in an altogether more common accent. Grew up in Whitechapel, I did. Why Lady Sybil, then? James, that is, Smythe invented her. Her eyes lit at the mention of his name, and I saw how things lay between them, from her side at least. You care for him, I said as gently as I could. She took a deep breath. My dad was a coachmaker till the Artificers Guild put him out of business. I took to pickpocketing for ma'am and da, and one day I picked the wrong pocket. She reached for another leg of chicken and devoured it artlessly. James's, that is, Smythe's pocket. He recruited me instead of turning me in. A thief and a spy. I was not sure if I admired or scorned her. You are a woman of many talents. I'm going to be a countess now. That's my mission. Lady Sybil laughed at my expression. One of the Tsar's close confidants is looking for a wife, and James has found him Lady Sybil. You'd marry for your mission? It's my duty, she said without inflection. I'd be an asset of enormous value to the crown. To James. Something in my face must have given me away, for Lady Sybil's expression softened. Oh, passepartout, you're not a knob. I didn't peg you for a romantic. I am a Frenchman, I said automatically, though my voice lacked the proper archness. We were born romantics. I could think of nothing else to do but wish her luck. She took her leave as we tethered the ship at Omsk, with the suggestion that we might stop by the governor's house and tell him of our adventures. I suppose she is in one piece still. She was a good liar after all, and I do not like to think about her condemned to a Tsarist jail. Day 21 in Omsk. Alright, well, let's look at our plan here. So we can take the Trans-Siberian Railroad to... We can go to Vladivostok, or we can head towards Beijing from Karamskaya. So this would arrive next Monday, huh? So in a week. How much does it cost? 1,800 pounds. We have plenty of money. Plenty of money. Alright, let's check the market. See what they've got. Okay, I don't think we need the Desert Driver's timetable anymore. I don't know that we need that either. Iron ore, huh? Yeah, we'll take that. Fur-lined boots. Might be good. Might be good. Might be good. What else could we... Ooh, Colombo. I don't think we're going to Colombo anymore. I don't think we're going to be going through jungles. Railway cap. Yeah, we're not going to Calcutta, are we? All of our well-laid plans, of course, dashed into nothing. Okay, so, when is this departing? I think we want to go to Karamskaya tomorrow at 3. Okay, so let's do some exploring real quick. Hopefully you don't get into trouble. New routes discovered. We kind of already know that one. Omsk was the most important stop on the line between Moscow and the Siberian capital of Irkutsk, a fact we were made aware of by a signboard in 5 languages that told us as much just outside the station building. The source of all this importance was unclear, and as we walked the streets of this minor, chilly town, I must say that no obvious reason emerged. Walking the city, we chanced upon a large square containing what I surmised to be the governor's mansion. A self-important man, no doubt, even in a town as terribly important as this one. We could have introduced ourselves, but what would be the real reason for that? We already kind of know what we're going to do. There was only one hotel on a large square across from the governor's residence. We found our room and warmed up in front of a roaring log fire built, disconcertingly, from the same cut logs as the walls, floor, and furniture of the room and the building itself. Okay, well, let's, we know we want to go here, so 2 days. What? It just told me, it told me yesterday. Railway cap. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Let's go. Holy moly, look at that. But our cold climate set is working out pretty well. So we had to pay quite a bit of money there, but I think it's well worth it to get on the way today. We boarded the Trans-Siberian Express at Omsk Station and settled into our seats. Let's converse. Greetings, Monsieur Degustin. Degustin? I don't know. Let us share a glass of wine together, Monsieur. Okay, what can you tell me about Karamskaya? Okay, there's an outpost of the Artificers Guild there. So, artificers mean trouble, if I've learned anything. What about... Let's change the subject to... this one. You mentioned trains. I've been told you can get to Washington from New Orleans aboard the Piedmont airline, but the fare is prohibitive. Change the subject to Vladivostok. Absolutely, one can travel by fisherman's boat from Ussurisk to Vladivostok, but the journey is a tiring one, so it just takes a long time. Okay, tell me about Beijing. My brother was on holiday in Vladivostok back when Zhaoqing to Beijing went missing. I don't know. Okay, I don't think we're going to be going from Vladivostok to Beijing. That seems a bit roundabout. The lines are thick here, with other trains pass ours frequently. Some are filled with settlers and others with soldiers, packed into 5th and 6th class cars so closely that I wonder if they can even breathe. Saw a darker train go past, metal cars with iron gratings that seemed to cast shadows as it moved. It was a prison train, bound for nowhere. The criminals aboard were simply carried backwards and forwards across the mountains, always moving, never stopping. I could not watch their faces. Their eyes spoke of endless waste and never-ending movement. Travel is good for the soul, I think, but like all things, in moderation only. It's very strange. We'll attend to... Too slow. We crossed the halfway mark of our journey today. Nice. So if we're halfway on day 25, we're making good time. In the morning, we wound up in the Angara Valley towards the mining camp of Irkutsk, the great city of Siberia, where some passengers were leaving to join routes south into Mongolia. No, we don't want to disembark here. We waited while the luggage was unloaded by leisurely porters and moujiks until the whistle blew and the train's engines wound up once more. Our journey continued, and by afternoon we had reached the magnificent expanse of Lake Baikal, as clear as the finest crystal, bounded by flower-banked cliffs on the western shore and containing a thriving, rapacious population of freshwater seals. The track ended at the lake's edge, but the great train showed no signs of slowing or stopping. I began to feel, as my master would say, a little perturbed. Now, my friends, this next sentence will seem to you the invention of a madman, but I assure you it is utter, unvarnished truth. We drove straight from the shore onto the clear water of the lake, causing barely a ripple. I looked out of the compartment window and saw the wheels pulled up, and zut alors! The train was hovering in the air through some unseen mechanism. I looked for the tracks and could only just see them against the gleam of the lake. They were cunningly built upon pontoons which only just broke the surface of the water, though we did not touch them. What sort of train was the Trans-Siberian? From the window, I watched families working at their fields, dressed in colors bright as harlequins, red and blue bodices, and bright bandanas, which they pulled off to wave at the train. People are wonderful. They live somewhere bleak and then make themselves colorful instead. Attend to fog. Now we'll converse. Greetings, Madame Pavlichenko. May I see your ticket? How I despise this job. Karamskaya is a junction for trains into China. Okay, well, tell me about China. Canadian Pacific Railway from Calgary to Regina, huh? All I know is this. It was once Chinese, I think. Well, you are full of useless information, aren't you? She didn't really tell us anything, did she? And then she insulted us. There's little to report of the outside world, so a word today on Russian eating habits. More specifically, the Russian distaste for regular mealtimes. I met a fellow Frenchman today who said to me, "The Russian meal is a guide to the Russian character." I begged him to explain further, and he obliged me. The guiding principle of the national cuisine is that all dishes must be capable of being served at any time the eater feels disposed. He sacrifices his finer susceptibilities to his love of freedom. You know, I've had Russian food before, and it was freaking fantastic. So if you guys have ever thought about eating Russian food, and you have the opportunity, do it. Man, I love Russian food. I resolved to keep this thought in mind on future approaches to the dining car. If our locomotive suppers are not triumphs of culinary art, they are at least signal examples of logistical achievement. I'd like to find out some more information. Okay, what can you tell me about that? You can see the northern lights from there if you're lucky. Okay. The Chinese and Japanese vie for influence over Korea. Well, some buyers will pay well for evening jackets from Vladivostok. Interesting. We pulled into Karamskaya in the evening. From Karamskaya, it was possible to branch onto the Chinese Eastern Railway to Beijing, so we disembarked onto the platform. We hurried to find ourselves lodgings, knowing that once the evening fell, it would become bitterly, miserably cold, and we are now old-fashioned for some reason. Okay, so we can sell some things. Let's do so. So, evening jacket, we could sell that. The iron ore, evening jacket, fur-lined boots. What do we got here? Oil paints, huh? Okay, hammer. Hong Kong. We'll take it on a lark. Okay, so what's our plan from here? Well, we could go to Vladivostok. It would arrive on Tuesday. We could go to Beijing, which would arrive Wednesday. So it's slower to go to Beijing than it is to Vladivostok. But we don't actually know any routes yet, do we? Departs tomorrow at 12 noon. 2 suitcases, huh? That sounds about right. Alright, let's explore and see if we can find some other routes. I spent a few hours in exploration, learning ways in which we might travel onwards, so relations strengthen slightly. Did we find anything else out? No. Okay, well, good exploration. Good talk. Okay, we're going to put a cut in there. In our next video, we're going to depart from Karamskaya, and I guess we bought some stuff to sell in Beijing, but it didn't really cost a whole lot. I guess we should have looked at the plan first before we went to the market. I don't know. So, mistakes were made. We're probably going to end up going to Vladivostok, which will probably end up taking us back towards Beijing anyways, because we probably won't know a route. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me, and until next time, game on.